Assalamu alaikum. This is Software and Associate Cost Management Accountant. In continuation to our series of videos from the Desk of Learning Lab and in collaboration with Human and Society Development Program. This is the third video. In this video, we are going to learn 10 most essential Excel formulas that personally I think every Excel user must learn. So please watch the video till the end. And if you like the video, do not forget to like, subscribe, and share. So these are the top 10 most used Excel formulas starting from drop-down list. For applying these formulas, we have taken a data sheet. In this data, you can see there are various products, salesmen, different regions. We have profit and loss, profitability. We have price, number of units as well. So how we can insert a drop-down list? Drop-down list is usually used to confine a particular range into a single cell to make it more interactive. So we will apply this under the salesman. For applying drop-down list, we need to go to the data. In data, on the top right of your screens, there is a data validation. In this window, you can see multiple options here. So need to click on list and you can see the source here. Now you have to define the source for this list. You want to make a list here, so you need to define a source. For defining a source for the salesman, we have the salespersons as these. So highlighted this, press OK. So this is the list for the salesman. Simply I will copy this to the and paste to the rest of these two cells, but here it's region instead of the salesman. I will need to change the source information because it's a region now, so I will select the region and OK. So these are my regions. And for the products, I will change the source information. I will change the range for products because I have 3 products. I will change these. So you can see these are the products, these are regions, this is the for salespersons. So we have these formulas to apply on the data we have taken. Before applying the formula for dealing with the huge data, I always recommend you to use the function, one of the most powerful function. That's the first of all, you highlight the entire your table data, go to the formula. You can see an option here, create from selection. Click on create from selection and let the top row be marked, rest unmarked. So when you mark the top row over here, what actually happens is these columns are now named as the top row. For example, this is now called as the dates, this is the products, this is the salesman, this is the region, and etc. So now I can simply highlight a particular column for using into my formula so easily. I will type it and it will automatically highlight, define the range for me. So I will apply the sum if formula, type sum if, and you can see the syntax right besides this formula. There is a range, criteria, and sum range. My range for the salesman is of course this column, salesman. So I will simply write the salesman here as the selection comes under. So I will press tab, it will automatically highlight this column. Press comma, and there's a criteria. My criteria is this, okay. And the last thing is the sum range. What's my range? I want to sum if this criteria meets. That is the profit and loss. So I will simply write profit. You can see profit and loss right beside this. So press tab, it will highlight, close the bracket, press enter. So this is the profit we have generated by the help of this salesperson, Calvin. In the same way, I will simply copy this formula till the end. You can see here for the west region, you need to change this because it's a region now, right region, and profit and loss. So this is the profit coming out from the west region. And for the product, you need to change this into product, and you can see the profit from product 1 is 1.08 million. All right. So similarly, you can apply the countif formula. What's your range? Your range could be anything, any column from this table. For instance, your range is the salesman, and your criteria is the Kelvin. I want to count the number of times the Kelvin appears in this data. So I'll enter, and it's like 189 times. I will simply copy paste this formula to the rest of these cells as well. So over here I need to just change the salesman into the region, because now my range is region instead of salesman. So the west region appears 439 times in this table. Similarly, the product 2, when I write product here, I will select product, and it will give me the number of time product 1 appears in this table. So this is the concatenate formula. So concatenate formula is normally used to connect two or more different cells. It's used to join the data in two or different cells into a single cell. For example, I want to this data and this data be appear in a single cell, or I want this data like case 1, Kelvin and salesman. I want to join these texts in this single cell. For this purpose, I will use concatenate formula. Type concatenate. I'll say text 1, comma, text 2, comma, text 3, close bracket. So these three texts in different cells are now joined together in this single cell. But one thing that you can see here is all these texts are joined together without any space. You can also add space in between by putting inverted commas, press space button, then close, comma. And then this second text, you can open inverted commas, press space, then close inverted commas, press comma to get these in space now. So you can see a space in between case 1 and Kelvin, Kelvin and salesman. Also, instead of this space, you can add any dash, slash, anything you want, like this, case 1 slash Kelvin slash salesman, etc. You can simply copy formula to the rest to see the results. So the text formula sometimes in reports or the dashboards, from the dates we have extracted out of ERPs, we need to show them as the day in full letters. Sometimes we need month and year. So for that purpose we use the text formula. For example, this is a date. I want a particular format out of this date. For example, I want just day. So it will give me the day Saturday in this date, on this date. Similarly, if I want year, I will type Y 4 times under inverted commas. It will give me the year 2012. And if I want month, 4 times M, you see January. If you reduce the number of times of this M to 2 times, then it will give you a numerical form, like it's first month. If you type 3 times M, it will give you a short form, January, Jan. And if you type 4 times, it will give you the complete January spelling. So this can also be used in reports. Sometimes you need particular day, month or a year from your date format. uh, One more important formula, that's the year month. This formula is again is very useful, commonly used for the dashboards, reports, or interactive reports. Sometimes you need to prepare for the management purpose for the internal reporting. This formula, if you want to, do certain forecasting, or if you have differential projections, so you want to extract months, etc. So you use this formula. For example, we have a date, January 12th. Simply following the syntax, I will add months. What month after this date I want to see? First month, for example. After 1 month, it should be the Feb. After 2 months, it should be March. After 3 months, April. 4 months, May, and so on. So you can draw any projection on the basis of these. For example, you need to fix this thing because I want to freeze this, and here you go. My 1 month, okay, 4 month, 5 month, June, and 6 months, July. All right. So this thing, the other formula is the length and trim formula. Length formula is basically used to find out how many digits or how many letters are present in a single cell. Type length and see this formula, close bracket, enter. So you need to change the format because it's in that format into numbers. So you can see there are 8 letters. There are 8 letters in this thing, in product. PRODUCT1. There are 8 letters. For example, if I remove one, it will be 7 letters. Two letters, it will be 6. I will add product 1. Okay. If I add something more, it would be go on and so forth. So this is how the length formula works. And the other is the trim formula. Trim formula is usually it's very useful when you export any particular data, trial balance, anything from your system, from your ERP. Sometimes there appear certain spaces right before the cells digits, like right before the numbers or the values. So you want these values be trimmed. So for that purpose, you need to apply the trim formula before applying any formula. If there are space left after applying the formula, so this will be, the formula will give you an error. So in order to avoid such errors, make sure you use trim formula before applying any formula, so that it will truly reflect the condition or whatever the logic you are applying for it. For example, let me apply the trim formula here. Trim formula, for example, this is product 1. It will trim, it will reduce the space, possible space, if this was in between, if this was previously, for example, if there were a space before this value, it will trim down to no space. So if your data has spaces or irregular, so make sure you need to trim all the columns so that you will get the formula right. So I will copy value this over here because I don't want my data be shattered. Okay, so this is how the trim and length formula can be used, and it's an amazing formula to avoid errors, possible errors while working on Excel sheets. We have the sum product formula. Sum product is a powerful formula. Before, if you do not have the sum product formula, for example, you want the sum of number of units, the product of number of units, and and the price. So you want the sum and the product of these two columns. For example, like this, number of units multiply price. Let me copy it till end. So what happens is, let me expand it a bit. So all right, so these these are the products. These are the product of the number of units and price, product of number of units and price, and the sum of the product of number of units and price is 7.6 million. Instead of doing this working, I can simply use some product formula. How? Type some product, and what's my array to be multiplied with the price, that's the number of units, comma, price. Simply close the bracket. It will give you 7.6 million. Let's see if there is any difference. This subtract this, so there is no difference in between. So this is the sum product formula. Again, you can simply sum up in a single cell. You do not need to do this exercise. If you want this figure, this sum product of this, you can simply apply the formula and get result in a single cell. Now the proper is one, once again, this formula usually is used for people who are working on data entry, recording, or entry level jobs, like their accountants. They need to enter a lot of entries into ERPs, and they are working on smart sheets to be uploaded on the ERPs to process those entries into the ledgers or journals. So the proper formula, basically it does capitalize the starting letter of any particular name or any particular word. So for example you have a proper, like here. So you have product 3. You can see over here, this in product, the P in the first letter is in small blocks. So what this formula did was it capitalized the P from the product 3. So in the same way, for example, you have various narrations to be uploaded, like for example, to like this. You have a narration to record cash received from customer XYZ. So now what happened is, you don't want this be entered into narration into the system. You want each and every first letter of these words be capitalized, because it will look good. So you will simply use proper formula, select this cell, and it will give you, let me copy paste value here so that you will see the difference. So you can see here the R from the record, R is being capitalized now. Cash C is now in a capital block, R is in a capital letter, C, and etc. So this formula is used to capitalize the initial letter of any word. The last formula, that is the VLOOKUP formula. VLOOKUP is one of the most used and one of the essential formula every Excel user usually uses, and it's very powerful tool that you can retrieve data from huge databases in few minutes. So this formula is simply very simple. Once again, it talks about how to look up a particular value from a particular range. For example, you type VLOOKUP. Here you can see the syntax, lookup value. What's your lookup value? For example, my lookup value is the salesman this. And what is your array? Table array. From which table you want to look up this value. So you need to define your range or table array. I'm going to highlight this table entirely. Fix it, freeze it, and column. And what's my column? And under what column I want to see from this table. All right, make sure. Okay, what's my column? For example, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. For example, 7. Exact match. You see an error over here, because while applying VLOOKUP formula, always make it sure whatever you are looking should be the first column. For example, if you are looking the Kelvin or the salesman, this column, so your first lookup array, the first column from your lookup array should be the salesman. if there is anything before it, the formula gives you an error like that. So now what value you want to look, what column, that's your first column, second, third, fourth, fifth column. Instead of 7 you need to type fifth, and it will give the lookup value. In the same way, if you try to look up these values, now see over here, it's region now. So you need your region be the first column, otherwise it will give you error. And now what's your under what number this profit column is? First, second, third, fourth. Instead of 5 you have to write 4 to get the lookup value. Similarly, over here for the product, your first column should be the product, and now your lookup value is on what column? First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth. So instead of 5 you will type 6 to get the lookup value. So we have applied these formulas. Now by help of this drop down list you can see the variations, and you can see the variations. If the product 3, these are the total sum of profits, these are the total values of this product 3. So this is how these formulas works. In our next video we will try to apply these formulas to make specific reports that usually we need to prepare in offices for the management reporting purposes, as well as the other requirements of our line managers. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you like this video, and